Your behaviors are affecting your life for the worst, but there is something that you can do about it. Hi guys, it's JT here and welcome to the JT Leadership Podcast, brought to you by PMG, a podcast where I take everyday leadership challenges, simplify them, and provide you with the tools for one purpose, or to create a positive impact in your life. Today's episode is a very important one, and it's one that means actually a lot to me. What I'll be covering today has made a massive impact in my life. I spent 27 years of my life not knowing what I'm going to be talking about today, not knowing these tricks, these abilities, these tools. But when I did find these tools out, it made such a big difference in my life. It set me on a new path, a path of purpose and meaning. So without further ado, let's get into Season 1, Episode 6, The Power of Presence and Authenticity. This episode will be covering two very big problems in leadership today. This episode will be exploring the struggle to find your authentic self and how to change the way people perceive you. And to help me simplify this for you, I'll be breaking down this episode into 4 questions. Question 1. What is presence and how can you change the way people perceive you? Question 2. One tool that you can use to change your energy and the benefits that it brings you. Question 3. Why be authentic? And question 4. How to find your authentic self and what are the steps you need to take. So I'm going to jump right into presence. So what is presence? Have you ever been in a situation where you've just felt safe and comfortable when you're in the presence of someone else? So for example, if you're standing up and you're speaking, and if there's someone close to you, or like a mentor, a family member, someone you trust who's been supporting you the whole way, and just by having them in the room, you feel more confident. Or if you've gone through your working day, and when your leader walks into the room, you just feel confident because you feel like you can trust that person, ask them anything, they're going to support you the whole way. Or have you ever felt that when you're at work, sat at your desk, and your manager walks into the room, and you suddenly start to panic. You start to think, shit, is he going to ask me a question? Am I doing everything right? Is he going to challenge me? There's this invisible force which dictates how we behave, how we feel around other people, and how other people feel around us. So the dictionary definition of presence is a person or thing that exists or is present in a place but not seen. So if you cannot see it, it's invisible. How can you measure it? How can you understand what your presence is? That's what I'm going to explain right now. Presence does not need to be this mystical, imaginary, invisible thing. Presence can be broken down into 2 simple categories: tangible and intangible. So if you've got a pen and paper or you've got your phone, take a note of this. Tangible presence is what you actually do. Intangible presence is what people think of you and their opinions of you. Intangible presence is affected by the way you behave and the way you treat people. So I want to tell you a story. I worked with a colleague who told me the story about his manager in his office. And his manager was from 2 nations, the UK and Sweden. And in the office manager used to have 2 flags on her desk, the British flag and the Swedish flag. The flags represented the manager's moods. So you can probably predict which one's which. The British flag was a negative, moody, complaining, angry mood. And the Swedish flag was a happy, calm, nurturing mood. So as an employee, my colleague told me that when he used to walk into the office, if the Swedish flag was flying, you knew the manager was in a good mood, you could have a conversation, the atmosphere in the office was light, people were having fun. But if you came in the morning and the British flag was flying, the atmosphere was the complete opposite. People would not be talking, no one would talk to the manager. Now imagine it was your yearly review that day. You walked into the office with that and you saw that the British flag was flying. You was having your yearly review. You was talking about your growth, what you've done that year, your pay rise, all with that manager, but the British flag was flying. How would that make you feel? Would you go into that meeting with confidence or fear and worry? That is tangible presence. What the manager actually did dictated how people were viewing him. Now I'm going to tell you a different story. A story of a sports personality. One that pretty much the whole world knows who this is. This is Cristiano Ronaldo. One of the greatest football players to ever play the game. On the football pitch, he is a force to be reckoned with. He portrays confidence. He strikes fear into the opposition. And he is an idol to younger players. His presence on the pitch alone can mentally destroy defenders alone. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo is around 32 years old. Imagine now that for the first 10, 20 years of his career, he didn't work as hard in training. He didn't make that final sprint past the defender to score the goal. He didn't decide to take that bicycle kick opportunity in the quarter-final of the Champions League to Juventus. He would not be the same player. His tangible actions, so his behaviours, exact what he decided to do, created an intangible presence around him. Because of what he had done in the past and what he does on a regular basis every single day, changes the way people perceive him. So for the moment he walks onto the pitch, people already know what he's about. So take for example, in your life, if you have a bad day, you go to work, you go into business, anything, and you're having a bad day, but every time you have a bad day, you come home and you shout at your family. You take your frustrations out on them. That is your tangible behavior. So what they will think of you later on or consistently over time is that don't be around you when you're having a bad day, because you're going to shout at them. You're going to make them feel bad. Your behaviors are affecting your life for the worst, but there is something that you can do about it. So now I'm going to share with you 2 tools on how you can change your behaviors and how people perceive you. The first tool is commitment. A study carried out by a Princeton psychologist explained that people form judgments within 1/10 of a second of meeting you. 1/10 of a second. That gives you, as a person and as a leader, less than a second to impress upon someone your values, your experience, your personality, your ability, and so on. The odds are really stacked against you. But do not worry. I know a lot of people say that first impressions do last, but you can change first impressions. So I'm going to tell you a story. Earlier in my career, I was quite well established on a project as a senior figure. And then a senior project director joined and wanted to make his mark on the project. And his style was to do things my way or get the fuck out of my way. Within the first day of him being on the project, because I challenged him, he actually threatened to sack me on that day. So for talking about first impressions, although I was quite respected on the project, I had no relationship with this person. And within the first day of me meeting him, he wanted to get rid of me because, I don't know, maybe he saw me as someone who would challenge him and would be a threat to him making his impact on the project. However, after a few months, we start to form a stronger relationship, and we actually broke down the barriers and realised that we are quite alike in our style for delivery. We like to get things done, albeit we approach the situation differently, but we both have the same drive for getting things done and to be successful. Now, when that project director later left the project, he left the company and moved abroad, he came up to me and actually said, "You know what? When I first met you, I thought you was a dickhead. I didn't like you at all, but you've really proved me wrong. I feel like we have a really strong relationship and I wish you all the best in your future." And for someone to come out of their way, someone a lot older than me, a lot senior than me, to come out their way and tell me that, I felt that was a really strong and powerful moment. And that's when this lesson really hit home. First impressions last, yes, but only if you don't do anything about them. So at that point in my story, I realized at the first day, I realized that maybe I approached that situation wrongly. And now I need to go about it to fix that relationship and form a stronger bond. Otherwise, I'm only creating a rod for my own back. So over time, I worked on the relationship and our relationship grew stronger. And that can happen in any relationship in your life. Just because people perceive you in a bad way, or they don't think you're open, don't think you're honest, they think you're too strict, you can do something about it. And that is through commitment. So here's the tool. Identify which part of your behavior that is perceived negatively or badly by other people, and then create an action plan on how to change it. So if people see you as too demanding and too strict, maybe change the way you approach a situation. Approach it more openly and seek other people's opinions. But do it consistently. So commit to doing it consistently. Over time, this will change people's opinion of you. People will stop seeing you as the strict and demanding leader, and they will start seeing you as an open, honest, a leader that they can talk to and get support from. However, there is one barrier to this. There is something that will stop us, and this is an internal thing. This is our energy. The energy that we give off is felt by other people. It's not thought, it's not heard, it's a feeling. So going back to the story I said earlier on about the manager and the two flags, just by simply walking in and seeing the British flag, the energy coming off from the manager is that I'm in a bad mood, don't talk to me. But when the flag was flying, the Swedish flag, it was very much I'm in a happy mood, I'm in a great mood, come and talk to me. So here's the tool. The first step is to understand what your energy is at that moment. So this is where the power of self-awareness comes into it. We can then do something about it. So now I'm going to take you through an exercise. And if you've got time, I want you to do this exercise now. If you're on the train or you're at home listening to this, I want you to do this exercise now. Get a pen and paper, use your phone, use your laptop. If you're driving, you're running, come back to this and do it. It's a really powerful tool to understand what your energy is in this moment. So I'm going to go through a series of questions, and you need to openly and honestly answer these questions for yourself. If you're struggling and you really don't know, you ask someone else. Use support. If there's someone that you really trust, sit down with them privately and ask them, say, can you help me go through these series of questions? Explain to them what you're trying to do and get them to help you. But most importantly, remember that this might be quite critical, so you need to be open enough to take the criticism and not get upset. It might be upsetting at first, but remember, you're asking them for help. Okay, so these are the questions. Question 1. Have a look at your environment. Do people tend to avoid talking to you face to face? Question 2. When was the last time you smiled when you entered a room and people smiled back? Question 3. Are you always frustrated by little things, such as someone walking in front of you too slowly, or do emails make you angry? When was the last time you had a meaningful conversation? If you were not yourself, what would you say about yourself? Now, before I go on, I want to tell you that I went through these series of questions myself. I came up with these questions myself and then I went through them. And what I realized is that my energy was in a really bad place because the answers to my questions were in a really negative place. So I have been there. And if your energy and your answers are in a bad place, don't worry, you're not alone. But the negativity can really seriously affect how people perceive you. I have been there. I've been in the exact same position as you. But here's the positive part. You don't have to stay that way. There are tools available to take your mind, change your state of mind from a negative space and move it to a space of positivity. And one tool, one really, really powerful tool that I want to share with you is positive affirmations. Now, I use affirmations now every single morning. And if I find that I'm in a negative space throughout the day, I use affirmations and it really changes my state. Now that I've practiced it consistently for a couple of years, I can go from a really negative place to a really positive place in less than 2 minutes. And this has brought about so many benefits in my life. Stronger connections with people that I've never really thought I'd be able to connect with. Stronger relationships, deeper bonds. Employees start to feed off my energy. So when I'm in a good mood, the team around me are in a good mood. Motivation is higher, both for myself and for the people around me. My drive increases, but most importantly, my happiness of me and the people around me increases. So now I want to share with you some of the affirmations that you can use that really helped me earlier on. So again, if you've got pen, paper, laptop, take a note of this. If you don't, you can't do it right now, come back and listen to these. Save this bit. These are the affirmations. And you have to say this. So whether you do this in the car, in the shower, say them loud. Say them loudly and proudly. Shout them out. Get your family to do it. If you're with your children, you're with your wife, do it together. So these are the affirmations. I am happy. I am positive. I am open and honest. My energy is electric. People want to speak to me, and I want to speak to people. I love who I am as a human being. Try these and you will see a huge difference in your life. I use examples like this every single day, and they have a massive impact on my mood and state of mind. And this is where the power of presence really comes into play. If you combine the two tools, so changing your state with commitment, you can change how people perceive you. And over time, your behaviors will start to change for the positive. People will start to see that as the natural, honest, and true you. Which brings me on to the power of authenticity. Before I get into the tools, I want to tell you a little bit of a story about myself. Up until very recently in my life, I didn't really know what my purpose was, what direction I wanted to go to. I didn't know if my career was actually for me. I didn't know what I was on this planet to do. I went to a seminar which helped me understand more about who I am as a person and what my true values are. That at the time was fantastic, but I didn't understand fully the impact and the profoundness of what I went through at that time. I realized a few months later that the reason I had been feeling so down, so lost, so demotivated was because I was out of alignment with who I was as a person. Now this is important. Being out of alignment with who we are as a person can create a lot of issues for us. Now in this episode, I'm not going to go into mental health and mental health awareness, but I want to make one point. In today's world, mental health issues cover a wide variety of internal issues that we may face. For me, I found that the internal issues that I was facing, now whether it's classed as mental health issue or not, I found that the internal issues that I was facing was due to me not being in alignment with who I am as a person. It was because I was not being authentic to myself. When, however, I made the transition from not knowing who I really was and what my values are to who I am and what my values are, what my purpose is, what my drive in life is, those internal issues went away. I didn't have those same feelings. I had now the complete opposite. I had confidence. I felt like I was fully motivated every single minute of the day. I was driven. I understood what I needed to do because, this is what I felt. I found this really powerful. Because I'm in an alignment with who I truly am, I'm a lot happier in life. And being authentic can have a whole range of benefits. Not just for you personally, but if you're a leader of big, large organizations and teams. So I've mentioned some of the benefits of it personally, but as a team, people are more open. People want to talk. People are more honest with each other when they're more authentic. People build stronger relationships and connections. People are happier because they align with each other. There is a lack of confusion. People have a more direction because they know who, why, and what they are following. And personally, I find that when you're in alignment with who you are, you have no regrets in life because you go through making decisions knowing that you're deciding to do something by being true to who you are. And the first step to doing this is by identifying your values. So here's the tool. Again, it's a series of questions that if you answer open and honestly, it will help you understand more about who you are as a person and what your values in life are. So again, write this down. If you're at home, take a moment, do this, take a few minutes, answer these questions. If you're driving, come back and do this later. It's one of the most important things we can do in our life. I've met some people who have gone through 50, 60 years of their life and have never done this. The earlier and the quicker you can do this, the bigger the benefit you'll receive in your life. So here are the questions. Question 1. What is important to me? So this could be career, family, friends, money, recognition, helping other people. Question 2. Why do I feel that these are important to me? Question 3. When was the last time I felt most happy? Now, for each of the categories of what you said was most important to you, I want you to rate them on a score from 1 to 10. So 1 being you're not happy, you do not like where you are right now. And number 10 is that's where you want to be. This is the ideal situation. This is your dream vision. So take a moment, pause the podcast, do this rating. And when you come back to this, I want you to answer this question. Where do I want to be? What is my goal? What is my vision? How can I bridge the gap? So what are the steps I need to take to get to that point? Now this question is very powerful. How do you want to be remembered and who by? Now this could be your children, this could be your wife, your family, this could be millions, this could be an entire company. Who and how do you want to be remembered? Now I should have mentioned this earlier, if you wrote the questions down, when you answer these questions, make sure you're in a personal space. If possible, do it in your bedroom. Ask your family to leave you alone. If you're in a library, go do it in a library because it's quiet. If you're in an office, go book yourself a meeting room. Go to the park if you have a park near you. Go sit there in nice weather and do this. Try to avoid and remove all distractions. You want to focus on you. You want to take the time to make it about you. Wow, so that was a very powerful episode. We've gone through a lot today. So as I usually do, I just want to quickly summarize and go through what are the questions we've answered and what are the key points to take away. Okay, so question 1, what is presence and how can you change the way people perceive you? Question 2, one tool that you can use to change your energy and the benefits that it brings you. So we've answered that. Remember, your presence is defined by your tangible and intangible behaviors. And just because you've done something in the past, that doesn't define who you are as a person. Through commitment and changing your behaviors, you can change the way people perceive you, all for the better, so that you can make a positive impact in your life and other people's lives. By having a positive energy, you can change the environment around you and create benefits for yourself, stronger connections, better relationships, people feeding off your positive energy, increased motivation, increased happiness. And then question 3 and 4, why be authentic and how to find your authentic self and what steps to take. People have bullshit meters. They can detect when someone's not being authentic. This not only affects your relationship with them, but internally, just for yourself. If you're not in alignment with who you are as a person, it can create a lot of internal issues. Now, whether they're classed as mental health issues or not, that's a separate issue. But I know for me, definitely, it was an internal issue. I didn't class them as mental health. I found a way to overcome the challenge and the problem. And I thought, there's something I need to do about this. And the way to get around it was for me to understand my values and then align myself with who I am as a person and what I want to do in life. Most importantly, remember that your presence and authenticity is a feeling. It's not a thought. The most important thing I learned by doing these exercises is that I managed to get out of my head and into my heart, into my feelings. And that is so powerful. We've been conditioned over the years to think, overthink, keep overthinking. And then in our minds, we start to catastrophize. But when we can disconnect our thoughts and focus on our feelings, we can really start to understand who we are and how other people see us. Then we can take steps to change our behaviors, all to make a positive impact. This has been a really powerful episode. There's a lot to take away there, and I really recommend you do these exercises. I've absolutely loved sharing this with you, and I hope that the tools and the value that I provided you can go on to make a positive impact in your life, so that you can go on to make a positive impact in someone else's life. I feel privileged that you have given your time to listen to me today, to listen to episode 6 of the JT Leadership Podcast, the power of presence and authenticity. I look forward to speaking to you in episode 7, the power of connections and trust. Thank you very much for listening. This is JT signing out.